Copperberg Conversations on Manufacturing Matters, where industry questions meet expert answers. Welcome to the Copperberg Conversation Table. Here, we'll dive into the latest insights on manufacturing. So settle in and let's get this conversation going. Hello and welcome to a new episode of Copperberg Conversations on Manufacturing Matters. I'm your host, Nina Roper-Yearwood from Copperberg, greeting you, Guten Tag from Germany. Wherever you're tuning in from, I hope you're having a good day. All right, so today's episode will be a bit different from our usual sit-down interviews because we're giving you a recap of and spotlighting some fantastic conversations we had with event delegates, speakers, and partners at our last in-person event in Copenhagen. This was, of course, the 2024 Aftermarket Business Platform Power of 50, our 15th edition, where we brought together 50 aftermarket leaders, hence Power of 50, from all across Europe to talk about what it means to elevate the customer experience in aftermarket services. And let me tell you, Copenhagen really showed up for us with some surprisingly beautiful sunny weather over the 2 days that we were there. The event was held at the gorgeous Marriott Hotel, and trust me, there was no shortage of action. The day before the big event day, we had a pre-event workshop and socials to break the ice. The next day was, of course, the main event day, where aftermarket professionals, industry leaders, and technologists were all in the same room to listen to keynotes, exchange ideas during the roundtables, and just to really learn and connect, putting on their respective learning hats to gather knowledge and insights, while in turn also sharing their own ideas and experiences. Needless to say, it was a super duper packed 2 days of back-to-back activities with everyone bringing together great energy and making the event a success. We even had a special appearance of a fire alarm going off in the afternoon, making sure everyone was wide awake and just blasting away any midday slump. To set the mood, I'll play you a short clip we recorded live from the event, where you'll hear Copperberg's managing director, Lisa Helkvist, giving us a context of this aftermarket event.
Welcome to the Aftermarket Business Platform Power of 50 in Copenhagen. We are live. We just kicked off the meeting inside this very room. We started in 2009. If you don't recall that year, I can tell you that Susan Boyle won Britain's Got Talent that year. So that's how old we are. If you want to stay live on the feed from today, just follow us on this platform.
Okay, now to give you a vivid sense of what it all felt like, or to help you relive it if you were there with us, we'll start with snippets of our chats with delegates during the breaks. After which, we'll chronologically walk you through how the day went, as you will hear the event speakers share with us key points from their keynote presentations, followed by our event partners and roundtable moderators sharing with us what stood out from their 5 rounds of roundtables, or idea blitz discussions, as we call it, and just the overall conversations we've had during the day. We'll end this with our closing panel, which rounds out the key themes discussed at the event. So get comfortable and let's get going. Our marketing director, Malin Mustofi, did a little mingling of her own and caught up with some of our fantastic delegates. She asked them things like why they decided to attend and what they were most excited about. So let's hear what they had to say. Our first interview clip comes from Simon Danens and Isabel de Bodea, who are global marketing leads at TVH. Here, they'll be sharing with us what they're expecting from today's event.
Okay, so I'm here with
Simon.
Isabel, and can you state your titles and companies as well?
So we both work at TVH and we're actually both global marketing lead.
Perfect. And we have just started the event today, but what are you expecting from today's event?
To connect with people from other industries you usually don't connect with. So we're similar companies. We're all in the manufacturing and the parts business, but we're still very different industries, and it's very nice to hear that there's similarities and ideas we can share. So a lot of connection.
Fantastic. And you?
I think we want to learn from each other. For me, that's a very important objective today, to learn from other companies how they do things. When it comes to parts aftermarket, I've been in both sides. I've been in the original parts sector now, and I'm basically in aftermarket. So it's very nice to see if there are synergies, but also to learn from other companies. Like, for example, at TVH, we're thinking about developing a very important factor on sales enablement. I've already learned some things today, even after 1 hour on sales enablement. So I'm happy.
That's great feedback. Thank you. I hope the day continues the same. Thank you so much.
Next up, let me introduce you to Ioannis Chatzilamparu, Team Lead, Service Product Management and Digital Services from Autotech. He's a familiar face at our events, having joined us many times before. This year, he was eager to share what he hoped to take away from this edition. Let's hear from him.
Okay, so now I am here with
Ioannis.
Yeah, and do you want to say what company you represent in your title?
Yeah, I'm part of the Metso, a Finnish company but coming from Germany, Autotech. We are actually in the area of the metals industry, part of the group in Metso. I've been here in previous years. It's, I think, a very good event, and I think, as we discussed also on this title, what we can actually take away this year, it's probably some things about the AI, how to support our services towards customer intimacy, and definitely some references of the colleagues, what they have to present in some service cases, and the models that they exist around towards customer support. And definitely is some new people that I have already the opportunity to meet and discuss very interesting things, and to keep in contact for the next years. Yeah, for sure.
Fantastic. And since you have been at our Power 50 events a few times before, why the Power 50? What do you like about the concept?
I think it's this generosity and the general thing that it has as an event, not a specific topic, but definitely the servitization and everything around service, which comes in the last years more and more, the need of it, and the challenges that we have in the industry, and also the needs of the customers. It makes a good overview. Yeah, so people like all of us here has the opportunity to meet peers from the industry, and also from providers of services. So yeah, it's all in all a good thing. Not that, of course, the other things of Copperberg, they are not good, but comparing to price or field services is a bit more specific and focused. Here is a bit more general, so you can discuss about everything that you have learned also in other events, and you can take a bit more takeaways.
Now, you will hear from a delegate who has been with the aftermarket and service business for over a decade now, sharing with us what he wants to learn from our event.
Okay, fantastic. And can I just ask you, what is the kind of main reason you want to attend today's event? What are you looking forward to the most?
Well, I am in the service and after sales business quite a long time, last 10 years. And during that period, we have learned a lot about the machine and man, because both are in behind the service business. So now I am here to know how we can go one step ahead. That means from the manual to fully digitalization, because we know the human brain and mind is very complex. Don't always we get the proper feedback from them. So other way, by using the latest technology, how we can get or read their mind and brain.
And to finish up this segment, we'll hear from Lucas Rodriguez, Director of Services, Sales, and Channel Management at Tetra Pak. He's going to share what stands out to him as the most valuable aspect of this event. Let's hear his thoughts.
So I'm here with, if you want to state your name and the company you work for.
Lucas Rodriguez, I work for Tetra Pak.
Great. What's your position at Tetra Pak?
I work as Director for Sales Management and Portfolio Support.
Fantastic. And is this the first time you've been to Aftermarket Power 50?
It's the second one.
Second one, great. And what has been your impression of this event so far?
I think the value that adds for me is basically a lot the opportunity to benchmark against other industries, because usually you know what is happening within your industry, but this is a good way also to understand what our peers are doing in other industries, and we can learn from each other. So for me, that's a lot the value that I get out of this event.
That ends our quick chat with the delegates. Now we're moving on to the next part. We will be listening to our short interviews with the event speakers and partners. In this segment, you will first hear from our event speakers. First up, we have Vincent Zieben, Head of Services Marketing at Philips, who presented a keynote on why generating demand for advanced services is vital. In the clip you're about to hear, he gives us a quick summary of what his talk was all about. Let's listen in.
It was indeed great to open this morning here in Copenhagen. I really like to be with like-minded people talking really about services, and it was for me an opportunity to share a bit the journey we had over the last 9 years. Talking about, on the one hand, establishing our proposition, our service agreements, and splitting that from good, better, best into a broader service offerings setup, service offerings agreements. The pricing next to that, but also touching upon how do we then position that ultimately in the market, and also how do you promote that in front of the customers, building awareness, demand generation, and also ultimately loyalty. So it was touching upon all the 4 marketing pieces, and it was really exciting to be here with this group today.
Vincent's presentation really captivated the audience, with one delegate saying how the insights were delivered crisp, clear, and incredibly timed. Now we're going to hear him share with us his thoughts about the event as a whole.
Well, the great thing of those kind of events is that you don't need to sell anything. Normally you are interacting a lot with customers and try to pitch a lot, but here you are really to learn and to connect with people. You don't need to sell anything, because the next one is in cranes, the next one is in pumps, and whatever. It's really good to learn from each other, and also at the same time experience a bit what are they facing internally, which struggles to get services on the agenda. And on the other hand, also great examples where are other companies successful and how can I apply that back in my organization. So it was a great moment to interact with other executive services leaders across Europe. So it was a great moment to be here together.
Next up, we have Olga Litvinchuk, After Sales Manager at Titan Machinery, who stilled the room and earned everyone's deep respect as she shared Titan Machinery Ukraine's incredible resilience through the hardest of times. What you'll hear now is her giving us an overview of her keynote on how to amplify customer-centricity for enhanced service lifetime value.
Molly, and nice to be here at this event today. Actually, my keynote was about customer-centric approach well. What is this actually? What is this customer loyalty during the time when the war is above your head? And actually, how should you forecast what your customer needs and what he or she will need in the future? And actually, the obstacles made us think a bit forward and adopt to the reality and provide several solutions which were not present at the market at all. For example, like video consulting, online consulting, service expert team. So something the customer needs just because actually the obstacles are like this. So this is the way how to understand your customer even when the circumstances are extremely difficult and it is turmoil. And we did.
It was truly an inspiring moment for all the leaders there. One of our delegates was so moved by the presentation, she said, and I quote, "In light of the ongoing conflict, they faced challenges that most businesses could hardly imagine. Yet, Olga has not only navigated these challenges, but has also led the company through a wild transformation, developing new business areas and creating a healthy, future-proof enterprise." It really puts things into perspective. While many companies are grappling with transformation and hesitating to take the first steps, Olga's example shows us that when you have to change, you can. Now, let's hear from Olga herself as she shares her take on the event.
This is my third time with Copperberg, and I really appreciate for all the invitations I got. I've been in Warwick, in Amsterdam, also with a speech, and today here in beautiful sunny Copenhagen in October. Who knows how it happened? Nevertheless, Copperberg for me is always an event which actually helps to think out of the box, because this is always multi-industry event. When you are coming to regular one industry, mono-industry event, you're just thinking just straight as you do every day at work, sometimes left and right. And here you are listening to your peers, to the colleagues who have some other experience in other industry, and you open your mind. And this is, I think it is crucial. It is extremely important to continue this practice for us to exchange our experiences.
Next in line is Matt Rudden, VP Global Lottery Field Services at IGT, who's taking us through the main points of his keynote, transforming service with smart analytics.
We have been on a journey at our company, and smart analytics, I think, is a term that perhaps has been misused in the past, perhaps. But actually, we found that on this journey, we found many different avenues for it. And I think that's really what I wanted to impart today, was what that really means for us at IGT and what it could mean for all the people in the room here.
Now, you'll hear Matt share his impressions of the event and what stood out to him.
The main thing that I get from this is there are so many different industries here. And my industry is very niche, but as is everybody else's. And there are some major heavy machinery type of industries. There are smaller industries. There's industries like ours, which are small machines but very large in the number of deployments. But actually, the challenges that we have are very similar. And so that was really interesting in getting some of the solutions that people have found. And I've got lots of things to take back to my company for sure. And I'm sure everybody else has as well. So it was a really well run event.
Last, but certainly not least, we have Vincent van Hellemont, who talks about the key insights from his keynote presentation, how the concept of the connected manufacturer accelerates growth in the aftermarket.
Yes, sure. And 5 was a lot, but a lot of insights I gained today. And I want to share 2 insights for today. So first one is the importance of organizational change still. It strikes me that many organizations, like-minded organizations, struggle how to convert, how to adopt, and how to increase sales within their organization. The second part is how to use data. All these manufacturers possess a wide variety of data, but how to convert and how to make tangible services out of that remains difficult.
And here's Vincent sharing with us his perspective on the overall event.
Today's event was super fruitful, a lot of great discussions, like-minded discussions, and I want to take out one quote, which is, I spoke to one of the manufacturers today, and they said, well, we're actually not doing that bad. We thought we did worse. And I think that sums up today. It's about getting comfort, it's about getting to know other organizations and be inspired by them. And I think Copperberg succeeded, we succeeded. Looking forward to next year.
That wraps up the interviews we've had with our keynote speakers. We'll now move on to the next part, where you will get an impression of what the discussions were like throughout the day. Now, let us turn our attention to our roundtable moderators and event partners who are giving us an overview and key takeaways from the conversations that took place that day. You will now hear from Christian Schaub, Sales Director, Austria and Switzerland at ProAsia Consulting, who talks about his main takeaways from the round of discussions that day.
Yeah, there are many key takeaways. Actually, it was we started with the genetic expression of service excellence, and we find out that there are so many ways to get to the service excellence. And the important thing is that you have the service capabilities, skills, solutions, behavior to find the right path to it. And it was really very, very interesting, the different stories, the different experience coming together, and the wish that they all can increase the service excellence. Yeah.
Next, you'll hear him reflect on the event.
It's a great event, and I like this format very much, where we can, I would say, not cozy, but in a very close atmosphere on a round table. Really, we can speak without loudspeakers. We have no flip charts or PowerPoints. So this brings us really close together. This is a great format. So I liked it very much.
Coming up shortly is Marcus Leungdahl, Global Account Executive, Service and Aftermarket at IFS, who will let us in on what stood out to him during his conversations on AI in the service lifecycle.
Key takeaway, I think, is that the engagement. That to discuss AI in the service lifecycle, it's everyone is engaged, and it's very, very interesting to hear people's experience. Some of the customers actually have real experience. Some of them will do it in the short term, and some of them wish to do some things in this area. So it's very engaged discussions.
Now, listen in as he shares his view of the event.
I think it's a perfect platform for discussing or share ideas with industry leaders. And especially to see how digitalization could bring value into service operations. I think it's a fantastic platform for discussing that.
Wrapping up the segment, you will hear from Thomas Lindell, Client Executive at Synchron, who will give us a sense of the key points that stood out during his roundtable discussions on service contracts.
Yeah, the key takeaways is in talking to customers about service contracts. We see the challenges that these customers are going through when the CFO says, I want to double my after sales on contracts, and they get to execute on that. So looking on those challenges and the manual work they have today, and then how they can actually build and be guided on how I can do this and build this, that it will take some years, but I know how to start it. That's why the perfect intro with Vincent from Philips gave a perfect setting for me to discuss, this is how you've seen how others have done it. So let's walk back and see how you can come into the same position. So for me, it was a fantastic event.
Here's what he has to say about the event.
Yes, I earlier mentioned that looking at sitting at table, talking about a topic, this is not the traditional sales event. This is something where you actually share knowledge and experiences between customers. And I have the privilege to listen in. So I just moderate. And the customers and companies, they do the talking. And I share knowledge and get excited on the topic. So for me, it's amazing to have the privilege to listen in. And I learn a lot. And I bring that back to my company to say that, well, these are the things we need to modify in order to address these things. And here we're pretty good. So all in all, to meet potential customers and customers here, and also to learn a lot that is important for my company, that tells you a lot.
Okay. Now we move on to the final part of our interviews. You will now hear from our panelists who will take us through the main points of their concluding panel discussion on how to amplify customer centricity for enhanced service lifetime value. We begin with Anna Jernhutu, VP Service Solutions at Kalmar Global.
Yes, well, I think the subjects we talked about, so service and customer centricity, I mean, I guess my key takeaway here is that service is customer centricity, is what I would dare to say, because as we're moving from being a product-driven company to a service-driven company, as I hear that also other companies are doing, service is basically realizing the customer centricity, because it is about making sure that the products actually serve the customers and answer to the customer's need and make sure that the customers can run their operations. So I think that's my, key takeaway. Service is customer centricity.
Now let's hear what she has to say about the event.
Yeah, no, I think it was great to meet all these people from different industries. So, small and big companies, and it just, I guess it's comforting to know that we are facing similar challenges, how to be customer-centric, how to reach over the organizational silos, how to meet the sustainability targets and all of this. So I think it was just really encouraging that we are in the same boat and we can learn from each other. So yeah, great day.
Coming up, we have another panelist, Nave Orgad, Director Advanced Services at Konecranes, talking about his main takeaways from the discussion.
I think the key takeaway is that there's still a lot to do about customer centricity and how to develop services that actually answer to the customer needs. At the same time, I also found out that, or reconfirmed, that a lot of problems are common to many other companies. So it's reassuring to know that we are all on the same journey, maybe at different points in the journey, but we all have the same goal, and we need to get there sooner or later. I would say that was the main takeaway for me.
And now for his take on the event.
Yeah, today's event was great as usual. I've been participating in Copperberg events for a few years, over the last few years again, and it's been great as usual. I think this smaller format compared to the past gives more space to workshops and to interactions with people, and it gets a bit more personal in a way, so you can really address a few of the topics and hear best practices from other peers in the service network. So that's definitely positive for me.
Closing this portion, you will hear Jason Moore, Head of Global Aftermarket Solutions and Sales Enablement at Grundfos. He will tell us about what stood out to him during the panel discussion.
I think one of the key takeaways I've got is that, we've been a lot of people here today talking about aftermarket, talking about the journey to servitization, and it's kind of both interesting that nobody has the silver bullet to what that journey is or how to solve that problem to a certain degree, and there's many different aspects which needs to be solved as part of that journey. We've talked about customer centricity and understanding customers' needs, and that's something which, of course, should be at the foremost thought of everybody when it comes to servitization. And that needs a different kind of approach to looking at the customer's needs from a product-centric perspective. And when you're looking at a hardware product, to looking at what a solution should be from a customer-centric perspective. But it's also interesting to see that from an internal organizational perspective, people are also having similar struggles to try to get that organization on the same page. Because there's many different aspects of an organization which needs to come together. The sales team needs to move from a transactional point of view towards more a solution selling point of view, and that's a different skill set. We need to have the product management side looking at how they develop new different business models, for example. And obviously from the service delivery perspective as well, how we do that. So there's many different aspects, and it sometimes feels overwhelming of the journey that we're on, that we have to try to fix all these. But of course, that's part of the journey that we are all on, and it's interesting to see that many people are having the same struggles to a certain degree, which is kind of both reassuring and maybe a little bit depressing, if that's the way of describing it. But I think it's good to get this community together to understand that it's okay that we don't all have the answers. It's okay that we don't have the solution to what should be fixed here. But we have the end goal in mind, and we will get there eventually.
To finish off, let's now listen to Jason's overall impression of the event.
I thought it was very well organized. I think the location is excellent, and the different, you can say, profiles of people who are attending was very interesting. There's not like everybody is from the same industry or the same profile. And that makes good for the diversity perspective to understand different perspectives and different needs from different participants in that respect. So yes, I enjoyed very much the event over today, and I certainly would be interested in attending another one, that's for sure.
And there you have it. Those are the major highlights from the interviews we've had during the 2024 edition of the Aftermarket Business Platform Power of 50. To those of you who are still listening up to this point, we made it. Big thank you for sticking around. I hope that this has given you a vivid picture of the event, and I hope that you got a good sense of the key pieces to note about customer centricity in the aftermarket. Maybe even some motivation to join us in our upcoming events. You can visit Copperberg.com, where you can find all the details on what's coming up, plus tons of insightful content to keep you in the know. Once again, thank you very much for tuning in today, and see you next time.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please like or follow us from wherever you're tuning in from. Got a topic you'd love us to cover next time? Or maybe you're itching to share your own insights as a guest? Drop us a line at podcast@copperberg.com. We'd love to hear from you. This is Copperberg Conversations on Manufacturing Matters. Until next time.